We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
You're listening to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. Folks, it's Saturday. The weekend is finally upon us, and Diane, it's been a busy, busy week, huh?
Yes, busy week and a very sad week, actually.
Well,
and it's not just because of the people that are killed, Craig. It's because of what we know is coming.
Well, that's very much the case, folks. We're gonna be devoting really the entire show today to what transpired in France on Wednesday, the fallout from it, an article, a co-written article. Diane and I co-wrote an article. We have it out in both of our blogs this morning. You can read it at Diane's blog at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. It actually reads easier if you go to mine. Even though they are identical.
You can alternate between both.
Even though the articles are absolutely identical.
Yes.
It's easier to read if you go to the National Patriot. No, I'm just kidding. Diane's is at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. Mine is at thenationalpatriot.com. We worked hard and fast over the last couple of days to put this together, garnering up as much information as we possibly could from as many different sources as we have. And if you haven't read it yet, you need to, but we're going to be discussing that article on the show today in depth. We're also going to talk a little bit towards the end of the show about steps that need to be taken in this country to combat creeping Islam. And folks, it's creeping on us just like a cheap pair of underwear. we've got to do something. We've got to put a stop to this. Look, we know Obama is still going to be around for 2 years. However, there are some things that can be done, even with the Muslim in chief with his butt in the air in the Oval Office. So,
yeah, and the prayer rugs in every room.
But it's a big show, folks. We're probably going to anger some folks on the left. We're probably going to insult the religion of peace. Well, there's no probably about either one of those. We are going to do those things.
No, there isn't.
The religion of peace, Diane, they get insulted at the smell of bacon.
I know, but Craig, when you think about it, it is a religion of peace. A piece of you here, a piece of you over there, a piece of you over there. There's pieces of you all over the place.
And that's what they're all about, folks. We're going to get into this deep and heavy today. Now, normally, Saturdays would be a much lighter day on Right Side Patriots. We'd be having a little bit more fun. Now, that's not to say we're not going to have a little bit of fun today, because, we will. But, this is a very serious topic. And the consequences of not doing something are even more serious. So that's kind of where Diane and I are coming from today on the show. Let's get things started, Diane, by looking back, kind of a follow-up as to what transpired on Wednesday in Paris.
Okay. And people know, simply the muzzies, as I love to call them. They get, as Craig likes to say, their panties in a wad over anything, including simply the smell of bacon. And that's one of the problems. We here acquiesce in the West, and we give in and we stop selling bacon. But what happened in Paris this week is so sad on two accounts. Not just for the lives lost, but also because we know it will happen here. We just don't know when.
Now, throughout the day, we're also going to be talking about some of the comments that we have gotten or seen on social media. And Diane, one of them was today, somebody took a little bit of exception, not much, and they said, well, we've already been attacked. We were attacked before 9/11. We were attacked before the first Twin Towers attack. We were attacked here and there and everywhere. And I responded very frankly, and I said, look, we're not saying that we haven't been attacked before. What we're saying is that the type of attack, the style of attack, the targeted attack that we saw in Paris is going to come over here.
Yes,
it's a
and you know
thing.
What? He happens to be, in a sense, he is right about that. Because remember the First World Trade Center bombing, remember the coal, all our embassies being attacked. The problem is, back then, we had a Democratic president who also did nothing. He gave him a little slap in the face, and that was it. Hey, we'll drop a little bomb here or a little bomb there, and that was it. As a result, the Islamists were able to see that America is not really going to fight back.
Well, and that was the precedent that was set. And so they continued to ramp it up and ramp it up and ramp it up. To the point where we find ourselves today. Now, in Paris on Wednesday, early Wednesday morning in this country, late morning in Paris, a commando-style attack took place at the offices of Charlie Hebdo. And this is a satirical magazine based in France, based in Paris, that often takes satirical jabs at Islam. Mostly through cartoons and cartoon covers to their magazine, to their publication. One 18-year-old was driving the getaway vehicle, as we understand it. Two others, brothers, aged 34 and 32, stormed into the building. Diane, the first person they confronted was a woman who was there to pick up her child from daycare.
Yes, and she was held at gunpoint with her child. Guns were pointed at her, that if she didn't punch in the code, they would kill them both right on the spot. Obviously, this poor woman had no choice. She was afraid not only for her life, but more importantly for her child's life. So she punched in the code, and these barbarians got access. This was a targeted kill, folks. They knew exactly who they were going for. This was assassination.
They went in actually demanding to know where certain people were, and they called them out by name. At one point, they came upon a woman, and she had crawled behind, one of those office partitions to hide. And they found her, and they drug her out from behind there. They pointed a gun at her, demanded to know where so-and-so was. And they told her, they said, we're not going to kill you. But now here's where this piece of the story gets a little convoluted. According to the New York Times, they told her, we're not going to kill you because you're a woman and we don't kill women, which we found out later to be false as well. But we're not going to kill you because we don't kill women, but what you're doing is wrong and you need to change. Now, that was according to the New York Times. According to her, because she survived this, and they actually did not kill her, according to her, what they told her was, because you're a woman, you need to convert to Islam, you need to cover yourself with a burqa and a hijab, you need to cover your ankles, you need to become a Muslim woman. Now, see, the New York Times left all of that out. They don't want, this is the mainstream liberal media, folks. They don't want you to know that these are the demands that are being made by the barbarians of Islam.
Right. Well, her account is being reported in the sites you can really trust, like Atlas Shrugs, Jihad Watch, Bare Naked Islam, on the alternate, as we like to call them, venues, who will tell you the truth. These are also the facts, guys, that Craig and I put up on our blogs. Now, this woman, yes, apparently, and according to the French newspapers and the British newspapers, her account is what happened. They told her she needs to convert, whatever. They were focused on their mission. They didn't care about the collateral at this point.
No.
They were given their mission, folks, by Al-Qaeda on the Arabian Peninsula. This was an Al-Qaeda job. They were operatives of Al-Qaeda. Do not listen to the New York Times. Do not listen to the mainstream media who is afraid to tell you the truth. Al-Qaeda has come on with tweets, with statements, and I have them on my blog. I believe Craig also has them on his. This was indeed an Al-Qaeda operation from top to bottom.
Now, remember, it doesn't matter the label. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood. You pick the label. You pick the name. It doesn't matter. They're all one and the same. They are all Islam.
Animals, yes.
So these two guys go through the offices on the second and third floor, shooting and killing 10 people, targeted. They killed a police officer in the building because the building was guarded because they had received death threats. They were even firebombed a few months ago. And then they killed another police officer on the street as they were leaving. So then these three, the two that were in the building, the one that stayed in the car, took off. They hijacked another car. They drove to a subway station and vanished. However, the French police launched an immediate and massive manhunt. And they got on. They found some identification cards, so they knew who they were looking for. They went and raided their homes. In one of their homes, they actually found child pornography. They found flyers, related to Al-Qaeda and radical Islam. Eventually, the 18-year-old later that night turned himself in. And as far as we know, he did not pull the trigger on anybody. But because he was there, because he took part in this, in my mind, he's as guilty as the triggerman.
Well, he's going to take the brunt of this because the others are dead.
Right.
So he will take the brunt of it. And they probably, because he didn't pull any trigger, they probably will not give him the death sentence, which means the French people will be paying for his room and board for years to come.
Well, and in prison, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing in prisons in other countries, you find the same type of situation you find in prisons in this country. They've become recruiting stations for radical Islam.
Yes.
So, here's a guy who's going to go in at 18, and as long as he lives, God knows how many people he will recruit into the barbaric behavior that we saw in Paris on Wednesday. Now, that all transpired on Wednesday, and of course, the people of Paris, instead of, and we'll get into this a little later too, instead of hiding under their desks all over the country of France, they came out in the streets by the hundreds of thousands, which was a fantastic thing to see. The police kept up the manhunt. They tracked them to a wooded area, heavily wooded area, and then to a store, a grocery type store. The two brothers had robbed a gas station. They had been recognized there. They took a hostage in this store. This was on Thursday. This was yesterday. Was this yesterday? Yeah, this was yesterday.
Yesterday, Friday.
They took a hostage. Yesterday morning, we were watching it intently. While they were holding a hostage, two more people in downtown Paris, because this place was on the outskirts, two more people in downtown Paris entered a deli and took a bunch of hostages.
Yes, what needs to be understood about these two places and the supermarket, it was actually a supermarket that they were taken in, was one of the largest supermarkets in Paris. Both the deli and the supermarket were Jewish.
Owned
now,
by Jewish
today
people.
came articles from the French newspapers and also from the British. The Jews are leaving Paris in flocks because they are being targeted. Their businesses are being targeted. This is a rehash of 1930s when the Nazis did Kristallnacht and led up to all of that. The Jews are being targeted. Their businesses are being targeted. Their places of worship are being targeted. Guys, if we don't do something soon, we could be seeing a repeat of the mid-20th century.
You know, the situation over there became very, very interesting yesterday in the late morning hours here in this country. Late afternoon over there. Police had both these places surrounded. The two brothers in the supermarket, and trust me, it was a huge supermarket. They said they told police they wanted to die a martyr's death. Well, eventually the police, and what I have to say, Diane, was one of the most well-coordinated raids I have ever seen, because they raided that place on the outskirts of Paris and the deli in downtown Paris at exactly the same moment.
Yes, we watched it in real time, guys, and it was actually totally amazing. And what's more amazing is the French people supported them every step of the way.
They burst through in both locations. The police used stun grenades and then opened fire. The two brothers were killed at the supermarket on the outskirts of Paris. One of the two hostage takers in the deli downtown was killed. The other one managed to get away. 4 hostages were injured in the deli. 4 hostages were killed in the deli.
Yes.
We still have not been able to really sort out when those hostages were killed. We don't know if they were killed prior to the police raid or during the police raid. We just don't know at this point, but we're working to find out. Now, one of the things, because I'm a Dish customer and I don't have Fox right now, thanks a lot, Dish, I was forced to watch, Diane, CNN.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Where I saw one of the silliest damn things I've ever seen. They were talking about all this stuff going on. They were talking about the hostage taker in the deli that was killed. that hostage taker was, of course, a member of barbaric Islam, and he was black. Okay? The anchor on CNN called him an African American.
Oh, they can't. Oh, dear. Oh,
These
dear.
people
Oh, dear.
were all born in France, folks. These people are all living in France, folks. This idiot called him an African American because we must be politically correct. We cannot call him an Islamic terrorist, for God's sakes.
No, you can't. Heaven forbid you call them what they are. All of them involved in the one that escaped, and some reports are saying they're not sure that she was even there, is the common law wife of the black Muslim. And they say she is the one that killed the French policewoman the day before. Remember, there was another killing here.
Right.
Now, they have what we call an all points bulletin out for her, trying to find her. But the one thing is, these people, they were not French born, Craig. They are actually Algerian and naturalized French citizens. Right. So there's your Arabic ties. Their blood ties are to Algeria.
You know, she's a piece of work. This one they're still looking for. They're not going to stop in France until they find her.
No.
But that being said, there have been more threats made by the barbarians of Islam in the wake of all this. I mean, the whole, as the situation unfolded, it was intense because nobody knew where these people were until yesterday. But the thing that was the most interesting to me was that France, the people of France, instead of getting scared, instead of hiding, instead of wringing their hands and gnashing their teeth, they literally took to the streets in support of the publication Charlie Hebdo.
Yes.
It was absolutely amazing to watch.
And what's amazing about that, on my blog, guys, I have gotten some criticism for putting up on my Facebook page. I have now as my banner, I am Charlie in French. And the same placard that the people in France are carrying. And they were saying this magazine didn't just criticize Islam, it criticized Christianity, Judaism, every religion, every nationality, everything it is. It's a satirical magazine. And to him I said, so what? We are not standing in solidarity with their stance maybe on things. We are standing in solidarity with their right to take their stance, with their right to publish their stance. This was a privately owned magazine. They could do whatever they want.
Freedom of expression is what this is about, folks. And, we have it over here for now. But we also see the left trying to infringe on that often. What happened in Paris, was because this magazine, these editors, these cartoonists, these writers exercised freedom of expression. Yes. If you don't like the magazine, don't read the magazine. If you don't like the cartoons, don't look at the cartoons. Okay, but that doesn't work with Islam. The simple fact that this stuff exists irritates the hell out of them. And their response to it is simply kill the people that are making it. Just kill them.
Well, you do know, Craig, the problem with Islam. I mean, let's be honest here. You're talking about, like you always say, 7th century barbarians carrying 21st century weapons. But it goes even deeper than that, Craig. It goes into the very being of who most of these people are. Of course, I am not talking about every single Muslim. To do that would make me as bad as them. I am talking about these barbarians. Remember the background of Islam: inbreeding, pedophilia, and every other nasty thing you can think of. I'm sorry to say it, folks, but for the percentage of Muslims, the genetic pool has been tampered with.
the gene pool over there is pretty damn shallow.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I mean, we're telling it like it is, Craig. We're not holding anything back today.
You know, I mean, it's the situation that civilized people find themselves in now is that it's literally come to this. If you are civilized, you are a target of barbarians.
Yes.
Plain and simple. No matter what you do as a civilized society, a civilized individual, a civilized nation, no matter what you do, you're going to offend these people.
Yes. And you know, another reason why I say that, because civilized people do not do the atrocities these people do. Yes, we have our share of murders and robberies and all that. But when was the last time you heard a civilized nation, its people, going around beheading people, going around stoning people?
When have you heard of a civilized nation hell-bent on genocide?
You haven't. You haven't. And that's the difference, folks. That's what separates us. It is literally a war between civilization and barbarians. And people need to understand it and stop placating and making excuses for these people. The people that are making excuses, who think, oh, we can coexist with them, they'll take your heads off as easily as they'll take off ours.
You don't think so? Ask Mike Foley. Oh, wait a minute. You can't. Here's a guy who converted to Islam. He went over there as a freelance journalist and supported these barbarians. And they took him as a hostage, and then they cut his head off. And they've done it for others.
Yes.
They don't care.
No, they don't care. Remember where it all started in modern time for us in America was with Daniel Pearl. He went over there to help them, to report on their plight. And they cut his head off, and they did it right on TV in real time, not in a video, but in real time, because they not only wanted to send a message to the West, but they wanted to send a message to the Jews, because Daniel Pearl was Jewish.
You know, the situation in Paris this week has been both incredible and incredibly sad. We've seen the absolute worst that human beings have to offer, and we've seen the absolute best that human beings have to offer, all right there in Paris.
Yes.
And it's been a very odd juxtaposition, and it's what got Diane and I thinking. And we said, we've got to do something. We've got to write something that tells what it is the way it is, not pull any punches, piss people off in the process. We've done that more than once. But we've got to do this. We've got to write this. We've got to say, here is the truth. Damn it. Read it, learn it, understand it, accept it. And when we come back after this short break, we're going to get into that article. We co-published the article. We co-wrote it, co-published it today. You can find it at Diane's blog, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, on my blog, thenationalpatriot.com. We're going to get into that article in depth here in about a minute. So, folks, stay right where you are, because Diane and I will be right back to really piss off the Muslims after this short break.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over. To be the toughest.
The strongest.
The bravest in the world. When we work together, we can make it all possible.
That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us.
Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members.
Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Hell, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old Middle East is like a man down.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Story from the Patriot Factor. Diane, you are typing furiously over there. What are you doing?
We're getting a lot of response to the article, folks, that Craig and I put up today. 99% of it is like, you go, guys, you've said it all. But we do have, our liberal trolls that are in both of Craig and my sites. And they are calling us, every filthy name under the book.
Well,
But,
go figure.
we just laugh at it and we give it back to them, but we don't give it back to them by sinking to their level. We give it back to them with facts.
Well, let's piss off the barbarian, shall we? We co-wrote an article, Diane and I did. It's in both of our blogs today. And basically, we're just laying out the facts for you about Islam. And you will notice a rather judicial use of the word Islam throughout the article. Now, there's a real reason for that, folks. It's because the mainstream media and the Obama regime refuse to use that word when they talk about terrorism. Because they want to make it seem like, well, it's not really Islam. Islam's not really involved. It's just terrorists, just generic terrorists. You know what? It's not. These are Islamic terrorists, and we're making a point of that.
Yes, and another point that we make in this article that people need to understand is that there are no two Islams. There is not radical Islam and then the Islam of peace and love and everything else. Islam is Islam is Islam. There is one Islam. In fact, Craig, we do have a quote.
Yeah, from Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan.
Yes,
which Erdogan never has seemed like a Turkish name to me, but
no, it never has. But you never know the roots, where it came from. That might not be the original full name, but he is a Muslim leader in his own right. Besides being the Prime Minister of Turkey, and he said, this is a quote, folks: "Islam cannot be classified as moderate or not. These descriptions are very ugly. It is offensive and an insult to our religion. There is no moderate or immoderate Islam. Islam is Islam, and that's it." Now, he's not the only one that has said that. Leading Islamic experts who once were jihadis, who once were militants, who have since became Christians and seen, hey, this is just wrong. People like Walid Shubat have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Have said the same thing, who has been a guest on our show and will be a guest again, have said the same thing. Islam is Islam. There is no difference. There is no moderates. You follow Islam, you follow the Quran. Now, some people will say, no, the Quran doesn't do that. The Quran doesn't expound violence and killing. It's the Hadith, and we don't follow the Hadith. Well, I hate to differ with them because I could pull you out verse after verse after verse, the surahs that call for violence, that call for beheading, that call for killing, that call for stoning. I can tell them all of it.
So what we're doing in this article is we're making a point that Islam is Islam is Islam. And these barbarians, these 7th century barbarians, are Islamic terrorists. Okay, they are Islam. Okay, there's just no two ways around it. And we have people like Erdogan, who is a leader of Muslim repute, I guess if you could even use that term, but he is, and even he says that. So it's not just Diane and I making this stuff up. This is coming directly from somebody who is deeply entrenched in that. So this is how we kind of start the article. And, we take this article through a lot of the stuff that happened in Paris. We take it through a lot of just what Islam is and the way these people think and behave. And we're not, what we're saying basically in the article, Diane, is Islam has been sucking around for a war with the West for decades. Why not just give it to them? And part of that is, no matter what we do, and we said this a little earlier in the show, no matter what we do in the West, no matter how tolerant the liberals in this country and those who think like liberals in other countries, no matter how tolerant we are, it pisses them off. You would be amazed at what pisses off Islamists. Being called a moderate pisses them off.
Yes. Yes, it does. But the one thing that people really need to understand above all else, we do need to go to war with Islam. And I mean a serious, kick-ass war. No more Obama tying our hands behind, our troops' hands behind their backs to win the hearts and minds of the enemy. No, we need to go to war to put this enemy in its place. And yes, some are going to say, oh no, we can't go to war with Islam because it's a holy war. It would be a war against religion. Well, let me tell you something. Islam is not a religion.
Yeah,
so
we're
you
going to
can
get into
perish
that.
the thought. You can perish the thought that we are waging war on a religion. Islam is an ideology. It's a political cult, if you will, and has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with God, because Allah, do you want to say it or should I say it?
Allah sucks.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to say it like that, but I was going to say the truth, guys. Now think about this. Allah is a made-up deity of a perverted pedophile called Muhammad. And anybody who says he wasn't a pedophile, tell me any grown man that marries a 6-year-old girl and then rapes her when she's 9. You don't call that a pedophile?
What do you call it?
That's right. What do you call it?
I mean,
that's what this ideology is based on. The words of this man.
It's the ideology of Islam, and there's another term we use quite frequently in the article is ideology, because it is not a religion. We're going to get into that because Diane's got a great article from back in the day, about how Islam is not a religion. We're going to get into that here in the next segment of the show. But the ideology of Islam is literally fabricated by a 7th century lout and pedophile who wanted to control the people around him. So he made himself out to be a prophet and that he spoke with Allah. Well, lacking the imagination to come up with a religion of his own, what he did was he usurped bits and pieces of the Jewish religion and what had become Christianity. Because remember, this is the 7th century AD. Okay?
Right.
So he usurped little bits and pieces and gave little brief mentions to other religious figures that everybody already knew. And then usurped that to say, Allah is the one and only, and you have to follow Allah, and I am the prophet, so do what I tell you to do. And he was a brutal barbarian himself. If you didn't follow his rules, he would have you killed.
Yes. You have to remember, people, that the great religions of the world, and by that I'm talking about in our context, meaning Christianity and Judaism, they're not based on hate and killing. Yes, there is hate and killing in the New and the Old Testaments. True. No one's denying that. However, the premise of their love for the one true living God is based on love, peace, acceptance. You don't kill somebody because they don't follow your ways. You do defend yourself. You do kill someone if they're trying to kill you, of course.
Well,
but we are not based, these two great religions are not based on the premise of death, hate, barbarism, violence, pedophilia.
But Judaism is based a little bit on guilt. And if anybody ever met a Jewish grandmother, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think the Catholics borrowed from that, to be honest.
Well, guys, we're just trying to lighten it up a little bit. But you really need to understand the basis of Islam. First of all, Allah, not Allah. Allah was a pagan deity that Muhammad took and twisted it and made the pagan deity, and the pagan deities came way before Judaism and Christianity, and twisted it and perverted it into what he wanted it to be. Remember, he was also an egomaniac, a narcissist, just like somebody we all unfortunately have leading our country, who took things and twisted them to suit his purposes. And that includes his barbarism, his lust for little girls. And he tried to make everything, it's okay if I turn it into a religion. Well, guess what, folks? It's not okay. And what's even worse is that people bought into it.
Well, and so now we have people, like Diane said, who run around and say, well, you can't go to war because it's a religious war, and we don't do religious wars in this country. It's not a religious war. You know, we make a point in the article in there of actually showing you that the ideology of Islam is not a great deal unlike the ideology of Nazi Germany in the mid-20th century. And if we're not careful, if we don't learn from history's mistakes, in effect, waiting too long to get rid of the Nazis in Germany, we're going to repeat those same mistakes. And this time, it's going to be worse, because it's not going to be confined to just one group. See, the Nazis were going after the Jews. Well, of course, Islam wants to go after the Jews too. But Islam will go after anybody who doesn't bow down to their ideology. It's an ideology. And so this is really a war. What we're saying is we need to have a war of the civilized people of Earth against Islam, because Islam is the barbarians. And so this would be a war of civilization against barbarism, is what it comes down to.
And guess what, guys? We're also fighting a Cold War of sorts with Islam. It's not just a physical battle. How they're fighting the Cold War is they are gradually insulating themselves within our culture. And how they're starting to do this, Islam is being taught in our public schools now. You can't teach Christianity or Judaism, but you can teach the 5 pillars of Islam. How it's also getting into our culture, here it is, we have states passing anti-Sharia laws. And what happens? The ACLU goes in, oh, no, you can't do that. You're going against this group of people and their First Amendment rights and whatever. They are winning. They are actually winning the Cold War.
Well, and if they win the Cold War, folks, it's a quick and easy step to winning the Hot War. And the Hot War is going to be coming. Whether liberals in this country want to pshaw and say, oh, that's not going to happen. That'll never. Listen, who's in charge of the ACLU? The liberals. Who's in charge of our education system in this country? The liberals. And in this Cold War, what's happening is that little by little by little, the barbarism of Islam is invading our culture. It's being pushed against our children in this culture via our public school system. If you don't think so, go look it up, folks. It's been happening all across the country. We got to learn about the 5 pillars of Islam. We got to learn this about Islam. We got to learn that about Islam. Like Diane said, they won't teach you about any religion, but they'll teach you about the ideology of Islam. Eventually, what's going to happen is the barbarians are going to come over here, and instead of being met by people who are fiercely opposed to the barbarism, they're going to be met by a generation of people who will welcome them. Yes. And welcome the barbarism because they've been told to tolerate it. They've been taught from a young age to tolerate it and to accept it.
Yes.
Good grief. Did we go around in our public schools in the early 1940s and late 1930s and tell children that they have to be accepting of Nazism? For God's sakes, of course we didn't.
No, and they're starting in our public schools in kindergarten, and they're starting it for a reason there. Because if you teach a child from a young age and keep that indoctrination, and that's what it is, it's indoctrination and brainwashing into accepting Islam. If you teach it to them all through their formative years, they will accept it when they come here, and not a sword will have to be raised in battle. They will just walk right in, and this generation, like Craig said, this generation will accept them. This generation will bow to them, will bow to their ways. Pretty soon we're going to start seeing burqa garbage bags, as I call them, in our public schools, in some of the older kids. And you know what? The schools will have their hands tied and not be able to do a damn thing about it because they let it in. They voluntarily let it in.
Well, so what we're seeing here in this country is liberalism actually aiding and abetting the enemy of the United States. And make no mistake about it, Islam is the enemy. Okay? So we see liberalism aiding and abetting the enemy. By forcing this, down the throats of children and adults, because there are people out there who are just simply ignorant adults that have no clue what Islam really is, and that's one of the things that Diane and I are trying to write by putting this article together. But folks, here's something else you need to know. Islam doesn't want to be tolerated. Islam doesn't want to be coexisted with. Islam wants to dominate the world. Okay,
yes.
That means if you preach tolerance of Islam, that's going to piss them off, just like the smell of bacon or a cartoon. If you preach coexistence with Islam, that's going to piss them off. Okay, so all the liberals are doing is really throwing gas on Islam's barbaric fire. With all this, they're simply making them more and more angry. This is why what Diane and I are saying is, if they're sucking around for a war, damn it, let's just give them one.
Yes, and here's a very important fact that some people don't realize. Many do, but some don't. Okay, like Craig and I have said, this is a war between the civilized world and the barbarians. It's also a war basically between the West and Islam. Mm-hmm. And folks, whether some anti-Semites still in our country accept it or not, the Western world happens to include Israel. And Israel is the sentinel against all the vileness that the ideology of Islam is trying to impose on us. Now, let me explain that.
Well, before you do, let me bring up a comment. Because we're doing this throughout the show. We're bringing up comments that we have seen since we published this article. I got a comment sent to me today. Somebody said, why do you guys always keep taking up for Israel? What in the hell have they ever done for us?
Okay.
And I said, really? You don't know?
They don't know. Well, I'm going to tell them what they're doing for us right now. Okay? Without Israel standing between us and them, there would be no us. There would only be them. Israel, who Obama stabs in the back every damn chance he gets, knows well the enemy in ways that we don't know, because the enemy, Islam, is on their borders. Israel is surrounded by Islam, surrounded by enemies. Yet guess what, folks? The enemies haven't gotten them. Israel is still there. And why? And here's the difference between what's happening now in the West. Because Islam, the enemy, the jihadis, the militants, they know that if Israel is seriously attacked, and I'm not talking about what's happening now in Gaza, I mean seriously attacked, it will be over. But it's not going to be over for Israel and their 350 little quote-unquote friends. It'll be over for Israel's enemies, because Israel's very survival depends on their ability to repel the enemy at all costs. And something we also need to understand with that is if Israel falls, the West will fall with them. So Israel is our buffer, so to speak. They are the ones standing basically at the gates of hell to protect us from these demons, from these devils. And I'm not using that in a religious context. I'm using that in the sense of what they are. Israel is our sentinel. Israel might be the ones that will start this, that will go and say, we have had enough. We need to survive, and we will do whatever we have to do with our military to survive. Then the choice will become, do we stand with Israel or don't we? As long as we have Barack Hussein Obama as our president, I think we know the answer. We will not stand with Israel. The American people will. Certain countries will. Canada is a diehard supporter of Israel. They will stand with Israel. Australia will stand with Israel. Certain countries in Europe might. I think now France will. Now that France has had a taste of what these animals do, I think maybe the complexion of the political spectrum is going to change a little bit towards Israel.
Well, in Hollanday over in France, he's going to have to do a little soul searching. We're going to get into that in the next segment as well. But can you think of a better reason why we should be standing with Israel? When you come to the realization, the truth of the matter, that Israel is all that stands between the barbarism of Islam and Western civilization.
And they can't do anything, unfortunately, about what's happening, let's say, with the Yazidi and all that. No. Those are things that their own people need to take care of. And they are. The Kurds are taking care of it. Israel is the sentinel between the big war, the World War III. They are the ones that right now are preventing World War III from breaking out just by their mere presence.
Well, now let me address something else, because we only have a couple of minutes left in this segment, and then we're going to move on to Diane's great article about why Islam is not a religion. Hello. And the article that I put out earlier in the week about Hollanday and the Hollanday connection in the Paris attacks. But let me just clarify something here for other people who wrote some comments today. They said, well, you want to go to war. You want to wipe out Islam, so you're no better than Islam who wants to wipe out everybody else. So you're promoting genocide, and you say they're the ones that are promoting genocide. Well, let me address that really quickly here in these last couple of minutes. We're not promoting genocide. Those countries that want to be Islamic countries are welcome to these barbaric idiots. They're welcome to them. If you want to be controlled by barbarians and have that be the ideology of your nation, fine. Okay? You want to harbor the barbarians? Fine. You're welcome to them. You can have them. You can have every last damn one of them, for all we care. Okay? But if they stray out of your country and attack other countries, woe be it to you, because you're going to be on our American enemies watch list. So if you want these barbarians in your country, you're welcome to have them. You're welcome to keep them, harbor them, feed them, bathe them, clothe them, spoon with them at night, if you can push their camel to the side. But if you let them out across your map-drawn borders to wreak havoc on the civilized world is going to come knocking on your door and put you in your place.
See, that's the difference between us and them, folks. We are not calling for genocide by any means. They are calling for genocide. They are calling for genocide of anyone who doesn't believe as they do.
It's just that simple, folks. If you haven't had a chance to go read the article, go read it. It's posted today both in Diane's blog, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, and in my blog, thenationalpatriot.com. It's just a bare bones Islam is what Islam is article, and you better damn well take it and accept it, because it's the truth. And folks, we have no less than the director of MI5 in Britain, who has not spoken publicly since October of 2013, who came out yesterday and said Islam, Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula, is planning major attacks on the West at iconic events, iconic landmarks, and transportation systems. Folks, we are but 3 weeks away from the Super Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona. And while I guarantee you I'm not giving away any state secrets here, if Islam wanted to make a bold and uncompromising statement, can you think of a better iconic event that is televised live around the world, where 85,000 people are in a confined area to do something? Now, we don't know that it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen sometime, somewhere. We don't know when. We don't know where.
Correct.
And when he says the West, he doesn't just mean here. He means in Great Britain, again in France, any country in the West, Europe, any country in the West. Folks, we can sit back and wait for this crap to happen, and happen again and again and again and again, just like it did in Paris. Or we can take the fight to those bastards and those barbarians and do what needs to be done and put an end to this, because they've been at it for 1,300 years.
Yes, ever since their formation, the what I call the delusions of a madman, because that's what they are. Ever since 632 AD, they have wanted nothing but to dominate every human being on this earth. That is their goal. They want to either wipe us off the planet or beat us into submission. Well, guess what? I'm a proud infidel, and I'm not doing either.
Well, on the off chance that we have not yet pissed off enough barbaric bastard, camel-humping Islamist terrorists, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, Diane is going to explain to everybody why Islam is not a religion, and I am going to explain the Hollanday connection to what happened in Paris on Wednesday. Folks, stay right where you are. We've got more Islamists to piss off in an hour to do it.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. And your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Place and
Did somebody's camel fart, or is that a fatwa I smell? You're listening to Right Side Patriots.
We, the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. And what is that? Did somebody throw a fatwa our way already? I mean,
a little
hell,
snark, even with Islam.
We've still got an hour to go in the show, or actually about 55 minutes. Diane, you put out, this is a while back that you did this, and if folks, if you want to read this, I suggest that you do it. But you're going to have to go digging a little bit because
no, you don't have to dig. It's right
really?
up on the right up on my banner, right there in the pages up on top. You don't have to go into the op-ed. You don't have to go anywhere. It's up there, pinned to the top.
You've made it easy for our fatwa-throwing friends.
Yes, I did.
Islam is not a religion, according to Diane and according to fact.
Okay, what I did, folks, and I can't go into this. This article is over 3,000 words long. But what I did was I took the Constitution of the United States, I took the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran, and I proved that Islam is not a religion. It is a cult. It is a political system. It is anything but a religion. Then I went further and on, and I did it with passages from the Old and New Testaments, passages from the Quran, and also the words of our Constitution. Now, basically, though, I can sum it up a little bit. When a Muslim declares that Islam is a religion of peace, he is either ignorant of the Quran or is deceitfully thinking of this as peace, as it applies only to those within the Muslim community. In other words, he is using taqiyya. Taqiyya allows a Muslim to lie to anybody except a fellow Muslim if it pushes forward the ideology of Islam. Now, these certain verses, and these are very, very important verses directly from the Quran, proves that Islam is not a religion of peace. The first one is Surah 48:29. Muhammad is the apostle of Allah. Those who follow him are merciful to one another, but ruthless to unbelievers. Surah 9:5. This is my favorite, that whenever I speak before any meetings or anything, I always use this. Surah 9:5. Kill the musharim, the unbelievers, wherever you find them, and capture them and besiege them, and lie in wait for them, each and every ambush. Also Surah 9:29 from the Pickthall. Fight against such of those who have been given the scriptures, meaning Christians and Jews, as believe not in Allah, nor do they believe in the last day, and forbid not that which Allah hath forbidden by his messenger, and follow not the religion of truth until they pay the tribute, readily being brought low, meaning dying, being brought low. Remember, there is not a single verse, folks, in the Old or New Testaments that contains a command to kill unbelievers. It's not there. Yes, there's war, and yes, there's fighting amongst tribes and everything, but there is no direct command to kill anyone that doesn't believe in Christianity or Judaism. Okay, and it also must be noted that a true religion does not suppress free speech. It does not try to stop free speech, as Islam does. It does not try to stop dissent. Islam does, and so do cults. That's why at times Craig and I call Islam a cult. Okay, in Islam, if Islam really holds the ultimate truth as they claim, the Quran 4.82, do they not consider the Quran with care? Had it been from other than Allah, they would surely have found there within much discrepancy. And final revelation, as it claims, Islam teaches that the Quran is the final revelation from God. Then Islam should not fear challenge, questioning, or free speech. Islam's leaders should be able to defend Islam with only words, because its appeal should appeal to everyone, and it doesn't, because it's barbaric. Islam, they believe, is the final word from God. I'm sorry, but it's not, The final word from God is not to kill unbelievers, no matter how they twist it. Remember, in the New Testament, God triumphs over evil in the end. Islam is evil. That means Islam is gone. So what people need to understand is if Islam was so great, people would be willingly and without fear of violence or death choose Islam. They are not freely choosing Islam. It is being beaten into them. Their families are being tortured. They're being threatened. They're being beheaded. They're being crucified. They're being all sorts of other atrocities, ranging rape, gang rape. I mean, guys, we know it all. We've heard it all over the media. Very few willingly go to Islam. And the ones that willingly go to Islam, look where most of them come from. The prison system, like Craig said, where they're indoctrinated into it by Muslims that are in prison. No one with a working brain cell would voluntarily take themselves into a cult of death unless they were some kind of sadistic, bastards, to put it mildly. You have to fear Islam. Islam is to be feared by any followers of our one true living God. And one thing you have to also remember, and this I'll just sum it up because Craig needs to talk about what he found out.
You keep going.
It must always be remembered that Islam came into existence thousands of years after the birth of Judaism and 600 plus years after the birth of Christianity. So, was Islam the answer to those who doubted the living, loving God as set down in the Old and New Testaments? Or was Islam the antidote to the harsh instructions and rules that both Judaism and Christianity demanded of its followers? Or was Islam nothing more than the mad rantings of a Bedouin sheep herder who had visions of grandeur and immorality and thus created not a religion at all?
I'm going to go with number 3. I'm going to go with number 3. Yeah.
And the simple reason is the word Islam itself means submission.
Folks, so if you don't get anything else out of that, Diane, repeat that last thing again.
Islam, the word Islam literally means submission. And that's where there is a great deviation between the great religions of the world, including Christianity and Judaism, and Islam. You do not have to submission yourself to Christianity. You do not have to submission yourself to Judaism, even to Buddhism or Hinduism or Shintoism. No other religion calls for submission but Islam, and their very name means submission. Guys, if you really want to see all the parts I picked from the Constitution, from the Old and New Testaments, to prove that Islam is not a religion, it's pinned right to the top of my blog in that header where I have the pages. It says Islam is not a religion. Click on that. Like I said, it's a long article. It's probably 3,000 or more words, but I have left nothing unturned in that. You will see it all there. And I'd be interested to know, do you agree with me or not? I literally have hundreds of comments on it by people that have read it so far. But the people that are new to us at CPR, you might find this very interesting and you might go, whoa, we have been taken.
And yet we have a bunch of knotheads in this country that keep calling it the religion of peace.
Yes. Yes, Islam is Islam. There is one Islam alone, and it is barbaric. Craig?
How do you follow that?
Yeah, this is heavy, but go.
Look, so is this, because now we're going to go back to what happened in Paris on Wednesday, and let me tell you something, folks. There are some things you need to know. Now, I'm going to start this because I started the article. This was yesterday's article, by the way, in the National Patriot.com, with Howard Dean. Everybody remembers Howard Dean, ran for president. Ah! Idiot.
The ranter.
He said he was on a talk show, and he said, this is a chronic problem. I stopped calling these people Muslim terrorists. They're about as Muslim as I am. I mean, they have no respect for anybody else's life. That's not what the Quran says, unquote. Well, you just heard from Diane what some of the Quran says. Let me tell you that 61% of the Quran calls for violence against non-believers. So Howard Dean is completely wrong. These people that did what they did at the offices of Charlie Hebdo in Paris were Muslim. They were Islamic terrorists. There is simply no getting around it. They are what they are. Now, when you really start to examine this situation, you really need to take a step back and look at the big picture. And I'm stepping back all the way to looking at 2011, all right, to see what was going on back then. That, if you will remember, is when Obama led from behind to get rid of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Everybody, I'm leading from behind. If you're in the back, you're actually following. Dumbass. But he said he was leading from behind. Well, who was leading from the front? Remember? France. Mm-hmm. France was leading from the front to get rid of Muammar Gaddafi. And how did they do it? Well, Hollanday kind of pulled an Obama. France pulled an Obama. What they were doing is they were arming the rebels, the quote-unquote rebels in Libya. Well, so did Obama. And we all know how that turned out. Those rebels were actually Al-Qaeda, our enemies in a time of war. But because they were against Gaddafi, we thought it best to arm them. Well, when Gaddafi died, then Obama started running arms from the rebels in Libya to the rebels, quote-unquote, in Syria, who also have turned out to be Al-Qaeda and now ISIS, in fact. Well, France was doing the same thing. Okay, France was they were arming the same rebels. They armed the very ilk of the people who attacked them last Wednesday. If there's ever going to be a wake-up call, let it be that. Quit giving 21st century weapons to 7th century barbarians. Because it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. Every time. These people don't care that you support them at point A. They're going to kill you at point B. It's just the way it is. But does this, what happened in Paris this week, does this remind anybody of any other recent attacks? If you're thinking 9/11, you're close. If you're thinking Benghazi, you're closer. Mm-hmm. Think about Boston.
Yep.
Okay, the Boston Marathon bombing. In Boston, you had two brothers and a little help from a friend. In Paris, you had two brothers and a little help from a friend. In Boston, the brothers had become radicalized in the Islamic ideology. Not religion, ideology. In Paris, the brothers had become radicalized in the Islamic ideology, not a religion, but an ideology. And the only real difference is that in Boston, the Islamic terrorists didn't care who they killed. But in Paris, it was a surgically targeted attack. They knew the names of the people and where they would be and at what time they would be there. It was a commando-style attack. They were trained in the commando style of attack by Islam. Now we know that Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula, through Yemen, has claimed to have directed this attack. Mm-hmm. Here's who we want you to attack, you two Islamic brothers. Find yourself a driver, a friend, and go to this address and attack and kill these people. It was directed by Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula. Not a lone wolf attack, Obama said, oh, this got to be a lone wolf thing. No. This was directed from higher up. The Tsarnaev brothers in Boston were trained in the Islamist art of bomb making and how to blend into a crowd. The Koichi brothers in Paris were trained in the Islamist art of a surgical strike force. Okay, they're all trained. This is not coming from their own minds. Here's something else you need to know about Holliday. He has been coddling Muslims. In 2012, when Holliday was elected, staggeringly, 93% of France's Muslim population voted for Holliday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was being accepting of them. He was trying to coexist with them. He was coddling them. He was trying to downplay the rhetoric against Islam. 93% of France's Muslim population voted for Holliday in 2012. This is how he was repaid for coexisting, for treating them as moderates. You see, folks, it just pisses them off. They don't want to be coexisted with. They don't want to be moderates. They don't want to be, tolerated. And that's what Holliday was preaching, was tolerance. Tolerance. You got to be tolerant of the Muslims. They don't want you to be tolerant. They want you to submit. Islam means submit. And there is your tie-in, folks, between Holliday and what happened over there. Does it sound familiar? Liberals over here, oh, we must be tolerant of the Muslims. We must learn of their culture. We must teach their culture to our children. Our children must accept the culture of Islam. Islam, we are told by Obama, helped build this country. Bull crap. They don't want to be tolerated, folks. They're sucking around for war. This is what Diane and I wrote for today. If that's what they want, give it to them. Both barrels of it.
Yes, if you're going to go to war, we need to really go to war. Not this limited engagement with hands tied behind our troops' backs. We need to do what our troops were trained to do. We need to take that war to them. If we don't fight that war over there with them, they will be on our shores, and it'll be sooner than you think.
Yesterday in France, the police found and killed 2 of the terrorists in one location, 1 of the terrorists in another location. But what they have done, folks, they have treated a symptom. A symptom. What we should all be engaged in is destroying the disease. And that disease is the barbarism of Islam. One Islam, not 2. One Islam, not the religion of peace, the cult, the ideology of death and destruction. They are either going to kill us or we are going to stop them. But we cannot stop them by being tolerant of them. What was it Hillary said just a couple of weeks ago? We must empathize. Empathize?
No.
They went into a building in Paris on Wednesday and brutally murdered 10 people and killed 2 cops. We must empathize with them? We must empathize because they were bent out of shape over some cartoons? No. We must stop them, not empathize with them.
Completely stop them. Now, are we calling for the genocide of all Muslims? No, of course we are not. But we are saying, if you want to follow the radical aspect of the one ideology of Islam, yeah, we're going to come after you. If you are going to decide, okay, that aspect is no good and we're going to not do that, we're going to be peaceful, we're going to be whatever, we're not talking about you. There are so-called moderate Muslims, whether Erdogan wants to believe it or not. There are a handful, Craig, of moderates who are trying to fight this.
Those are people like Mudar Zakran,
yes,
who have grown up and come and joined the 21st century and realized that being civilized is the key to having a future.
Yes.
However, being a barbarian is a key to no future at all. So those who are moderate are actually not moderate. They are civilized.
Yes.
They have become civilized.
Yes, and if they choose to pray to a pedophile, that is their right as well. But what their right is not is to come after anyone who doesn't believe as them. They have no right to do that. Not a civilized right, that's for sure.
No. So, folks, if you want to learn more about Islam not being a religion, go to Diane's blog, The Patriot Factor, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. You'll find it up at the top. Islam is not a religion. Click on that, enjoy it, and learn it, and understand it, and pass it around. If you want to know more about what transpired on Wednesday and what led to it, read the article I posted in the National Patriot, thenationalpatriot.com, yesterday. And if you want to know what's got to be done, read today's article, co-written by Diane and myself in both of those blogs. But Diane, we've got a few suggestions too, because we know that Obama has got his butt up and his chin down on a prayer rug somewhere in the Oval Office for the next 2 years.
Right. And that's very dangerous, folks. Even with our Congress being red, that is still extremely dangerous because he still has his pen and his phone.
One of the comments that we got today was, well, nothing can be done because Obama's still going to be there. Well, not so fast. You know, I mean, I understand what people are saying when they say that, you know, because it is frustrating, I guarantee it. But there are steps that can be taken, and we're going to have to start taking them. The civilized world is going to have to start taking some of these steps. Otherwise, it's lights out. And you know, I'll just tell you one of the things, and we'll go into detail on it here after the break, but one of the things is we got to get right with Israel.
Yes.
All right? We got to get right with Israel. And, you know, if the Muslim in chief won't do it, it's up to us, we the people. But we got to get right with Islam. Not with Islam, with Israel. We got to take it
Craig,
to
you're
Islam.
not allowed to coexist.
No, I'm not trying. I don't want to coexist. You cannot coexist with somebody who wants to separate your head from the rest of your body.
Exactly. There's a saying.
You can't.
And it's used by Bare Naked Islam on every one of their articles. You cannot coexist with people out to kill you. You can't. That's the bottom line. They are out to kill us. Every one of us, every Christian, every Jew, every Buddhist, every Hindu, every other religion under the sun.
Every bacon-loving mother. I didn't finish that. That's probably a good thing. No, they do. They want to kill every bacon-loving mother. Folks, we got to take a break.
Craig is losing it.
I am starting to lose it, folks. Don't go anywhere. We've still got 30 minutes left to piss off the rest of the Islamic bastards, and we're going to use every minute of it. Quick break. Diane and I will be right back. We're going to go outside and check for fatwas. Hang on, folks.
Yes, or drones.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
The network wants to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Whoa! Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs. Why don't you mind your own business? That's good advice. Mind your own business. Dad got it right. But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine. Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna take back our country. There's no way today we could build Boulder Dam. There'd be way too many government permit scams. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for the good news? We're gonna take back this country. Hey, Barack, pack your bags, head to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. So move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move over, little dog, 'cause the big dog's moving in. Hey, 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 move it on over, move it on over, slide it on over, move it on over. Hey, are you ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country.
We're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, we've still got a few minutes left to piss off the Islamic world, huh?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I know the show has been pretty serious today, and for a good reason. What's been happening in the world has been very serious. But I do want to let people know that at the very end of the show, I'm going to play a song that is just meant to do nothing but lighten the mood, and it's kind of a sing-along, and it's all about a rodent. So.
Oh, okay. You mean?
I'm not going to say. I'm just going to say it's about a rodent. Okay.
Okay.
So now, where we left off before we went out and checked for drones and fatwas. There are some things that can be done right now to start turning the tide against Islam. And we saw some of this going on in France over the last couple of days. You know, people took to the streets and they said enough is enough. You know, we're sick and tired of this. We need to adopt that attitude and push it even further, because if we do, other countries will follow the lead. It's going to be up to Congress, Diane, because Obama is going to have his butt in the air and his face buried in an area rug for the next 2 years.
Yes, and Congress needs to understand this is one issue that we do need true bipartisanship, because don't think if they come over here, they're just going to kill Republicans. They're going to kill the Democrats, too. They need to understand that. So you need to get your heads out of your political allegiance butts to Obama and do the right thing. Even if he vetoes everything, you have the power by number of overturning his vetoes.
You know, quit giving money and arms and ammunition to the terrorists, the Islamic bastards. Quit it. Just quit right now. You know, Congress holds the purse strings. Cut Obama off. Obama wants to keep giving money to these barbarians. Stop it. Instead, how about we support our enemies for the first time, or our allies for the first time in 6 years, instead of coddling our enemies?
Yeah. Simply put, no more funding to any Middle Eastern country except Israel.
Period.
That's it. Let them wallow in their own cesspools. We don't fund them. They're not going to get the weapons. They're not going to have the money to get the weapons. Obama is arming the Free Syrian Army, who are part of Al-Qaeda. I just don't get why Congress doesn't see this. Everybody with a working brain cell sees this. Cut off funding to all Arab countries.
ISIS is making enough money. The only country you fund is
Israel and maybe Egypt, because El-Sisi is turning out to be a real good guy. That's number one step. That's the first thing we need to do.
ISIS is making enough money for all of the barbarians put together and then some. They're going in from town to town to town, stealing money. It's a multi-billion-dollar operation now. Okay, yes. Hundreds of billions of dollars. We don't need to be funding them.
Yes, absolutely. You cut the money off, you cut a big part of their ability to wage war against us just by cutting their money off. Another thing we need to do, and I'm sorry if the politically correct don't like it, we need to racially profile. I'm sorry, we need to do it. People with Islamic sounding names, people who appear to be Islamic, even if they're not Arabic, we need to racially profile them. We need to know who they are, their every movement, where they're going, and we also need not let them get on any planes. Now, if they want to go over there, let them go over there, but take away their visas. They cannot come back here. And with that, we need to seal the borders now.
Well, you know,
not
we do
tomorrow,
have a little,
now.
Yeah, we do have a little problem down there on the border, because there isn't one, and there should be. There used to be. There's not one now, and every ne'er-do-well who wants to come over here and cause trouble can just prance across that border. Nobody's stopping them right now. That's got to stop. But yeah, Diane said something about racial profiling. If our Congress isn't sure how to do it, and do it effectively and do it right,
we can tell them.
No. Ask the Israelis.
Yeah.
They do it every day over
Yes.
there. And they're really good at it.
Yes. Yes. And they don't have any problems in their country by their people saying, oh, no, we can't racially profile. No, we need to racially profile. I'm sorry, guys, but it has to be done. We are now living in the day and age of the Muzzy, as I call it, the day and age of terrorism. 50 years ago, we didn't have this. We had come out of a world war. We were recovering. We were rebuilding the countries that were destroyed. We were leaders of the free world. Right now, under Obama, we're nothing. The free world is laughing at us.
Well, we're not nothing. We're targets.
We're targets. Okay, I meant nothing as far as leaders. We are the targets. You're right, Craig. We are the targets of all the hate coming from the Middle East and the countries that support them. So we need to turn that around. And a way to turn that around, I'm sorry, is with racially profiling and taking action against those people. They're here and they want to go over there. All those jihadi fighters that are going from Minneapolis, I believe, and going over there. Okay, you want to go? Go. We take your visas away. You're not coming back in here. That's it. You're done. We need to start rounding up the known jihadists that are here in this country. And we know who some of them are. We know who some of those leaders are. Louis Farrakhan is one.
You know, here's something. How about we can it with all the political correctness? Because political correctness is going to get us all dead. You know, we're going to politically correct ourselves to death if we're not careful. You know, and this is what the article today, and this is what this whole show has been about. Call Islam, Islam. You know, call Islamic terrorists, Islamic terrorists. You know, you talk about terror. Well, it was an act of terror. No, it was an act of Islamic terror. You know, until we start calling these things exactly what they are, until we start naming names, until we start telling the truth, we're all targets.
Every single one of us. And along with that, we need to seal completely our ports of entry.
Well, now, you've got a little problem in a port down there in your corner of the country.
Yes, we have a problem because a Muslim company, our governor, one of the things, yes, I held my nose and voted for him because Charlie Crist was not an option. But one of the things that I do not personally forgive him for is he allowed certain aspects of the loading and unloading of the containers to go to a Muslim country. That has to stop. When I say a Muslim country, I mean a company out of a Muslim country owned by Muslims. That needs to be stopped. This is America. Our ports of entry should be run, controlled, taken over by Americans and Americans alone.
While we're at it, Diane, how about this? How about the FAA go dig into the backgrounds of all the pilots in this country? You find Muslim pilots, they're done. Take away their right to fly. You know, if you need a reason for that, Malaysian Flight 370.
Yes.
It went up, and nobody's seen it since.
Yes.
Okay.
And the
they've been looking all over
Muslim.
the pilots were Muslim. They've been looking all over the Indian Ocean for that thing for the last 9 months, and they haven't found a single seat cushion.
Because it's not there. They took that plane somewhere. And you know what, Craig?
We're going to find that plane again someday.
I want to go even farther than the pilots. I want the U.S. military purged of all Muslims.
You know, they are the enemy.
Who the hell are they that now they can have prayer rugs, but God forbid someone wants to say a Christian or a Jewish prayer? That's not allowed. Our military needs to be purged of Muslims because right now they are the enemy. What are we doing having the enemy within the ranks of our military?
Well, hello, it follows right along with having the enemy be the security guards at our embassy. I mean, good grief, folks. You know, what we're asking here is for Congress to employ a little common sense. You don't hire the enemy. You don't dress the enemy up in your uniform and give them a gun with bullets in it and hand grenades and teach them how to drive your tanks and fly your fighter jets. Duh!
Exactly. And just think of 400 with Nadal, whatever
Hassan.
his name was, Hassan. I mean, come on. This man was a known Muslim and a sympathizer who had contact with the leaders of the Islamic movement. We had it all here as information, and yet he was still promoted, got pay raises, everything. What the hell is wrong here?
Well, and the
Our
reason,
military
Diane,
needs to be purged.
the reason, Diane, they gave him all those pay raises and promoted his Muslim ass is because they were afraid if they didn't, they would be racist or bigots or something. Islamophobes. Oh my God, they're Islamophobes.
And guess what, folks? Here's something you need to know. Islam is not a race. Muslims are not a race. Anyone can be a Muslim, no matter what their race, nationality, religion, creed, color, whatever.
Hey,
it is not a race.
Hey, if Sammy Davis Jr. could be a Jew, anybody could be a Muslim.
Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is convert. It is not a race. So this is not a racial issue. I don't care how Obama and his group want to say, oh, it's against brown people. No, there are white Muslims, there are black Muslims, there are brown Muslims, there are yellow Muslims, there are red Muslims. Hell, there's probably even Muslims who are pink with purple polka dots. It is not race.
That's because of the shallow gene pool.
It is not a race, guys. So stop with the nonsense of it being a race.
Okay,
but the main thing, Craig, people need to remember as we're coming, towards the end of our show, Congress needs to stand united on this. Democrats and Republicans, come on, guys. They're out to kill all of us. Doesn't matter our political party. It doesn't matter what politically correct niceties we attach to them. They will chop all our heads off. It's not going to matter when they set foot on this soil. Now, the only thing, Craig, the one thing we do have going for us is we have the biggest militia in the world. Behind every blade of grass is a patriot with a gun.
Yep.
They know that. They cannot be stupid enough not to know that.
See, these people are warped, Diane. they think that just because they're Islamists that they will win. Okay, come over here and stir some crap up, folks. You're going to find out. It ain't going to be the case. But we have spent the bulk of this show really pissing off Islam. How about I just piss off the liberals here with the statement?
Okay.
All right. Islam and Obamacare are a lot alike. Neither one of them care who they screw with and who they kill. They're just going to kill us all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. You can't tolerate people that want to separate your head from your shoulders. You can't coexist with people that want to blow you to pieces. You can't accept, unless you're an idiot, a culture of barbaric, deprived murder and mayhem. That is what Islam is, people. And if you think something else is the biggest threat we face in this nation, think again. Islam, look at Paris. Paris was having a perfectly good day on Wednesday until about 11:30 in the morning. And that's when Islam came blasting through the doors of a publication whose stock and trade is satire, cartoons.
Yes.
And they killed 10 people inside the building and 2 cops. Targeted, commando-style assassination directed by Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula.
Yes.
All right. Folks, you don't think this is coming? You don't think these kind of targeted attacks are coming? Think again. They're coming. They're coming to all the Western world, and that includes us. And like Diane said, because of that open border down there, because of sleeper cells that we know are in this country, we are ripe for the picking right now, because we have a Muslim in the Oval Office who refuses to do anything because he is one of them.
Yes.
We've
Guys,
got
you need to
liberals.
understand something. He keeps claiming he's a Christian. He's not. There is not one church in this country that has a record of him ever converting from Islam to Christianity. He was raised as a Muslim. He could not have attended the madrasas in Indonesia, where he spent most of his young childhood, without being a follower of Islam. It's required. It's on his entry papers. If he was a Christian, he would have had to convert. There is not one church in this country that has a record of him converting to Christianity. He is using taqiyya on all of us to promote Islam.
You know, we got a whole bunch of liberals in this country that are coddling and cooing and singing Kumbaya and making s'mores for Islamist terrorists. Look, you want to stick your neck out around the Islamists? Feel free. I'm not gonna.
Do it over there. That's the difference. Do it over there.
Do it over there. You know, I mean, and the media. We've got a media in this country. Holy crap. We've got a mainstream media in this country that will go to great lengths to protect Islamists, to make it seem like Islamists aren't the real problem. And we've got liberal politicians over here that claim, and members of the liberal press that claim the real problem over here is not the Muslims. The real enemy is conservatives.
Yeah. Oh, and let's not forget, there are some who think the biggest problem facing America today is gay people.
Yeah, when was the last time a gay gang beheaded anybody? Just give me one example.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time gay commandos stormed into an office building and murdered 12 people? Just give me one example.
Yeah. And we address that to certain people who keep saying that over and over on the internet, that the biggest problem facing the United States today is gay people. I don't know where they have had their butts buried lately, but the biggest problem facing America today is Barack Hussein Obama, along with his Islamic brethren. That is the problem facing America today.
When was the last time the gay community, and I'll even lump the militant gay community into it, the LGBTEIEIO, whatever the hell they call themselves, when was the last time even the militant gay community advocated genocide?
No.
But Islam does all of those things and more.
Yes. Yes. People need to, seriously, you need to wake up and realize what happened in Paris will happen here. We don't know when. We don't know where. We have a suspicion that maybe somebody will try something at the Super Bowl, but that is just Craig and my supposition. We
hope it doesn't happen. We don't want that to happen. We hope it doesn't happen.
Correct. But something will happen here. Something will happen here. It's just a matter of time.
Folks, it's been a heck of a show. If you missed any part of it, you missed a lot. We're going to rebroadcast this show later tonight. Go to CPRWorldwideMedia.com. There you will find the schedule. There you will figure out when this show is going to be rebroadcast. If you missed any part of the show on Wednesday, when we had all the breaking news coming out of Paris, that show is going to be rebroadcast right here at CPR Worldwide Media in exactly 5 minutes from now. How about that? So if you're not sick and tired of me and Diane yet, you got plenty of time yet today to really get nauseated by us.
Now, would anybody be nauseated by little old us just because we tell the truth, Craig?
You know, liberals probably nauseated by us. Islamists
the
probably
are. We know that.
The alphabets are nauseated by us. The Islamists are nauseated by us. You know, and do we care?
No.
Nope. As a matter of fact, just to wrap up my day today, I'm going to have a bacon sandwich
Oh, okay. Too
And
bad
you know
I'm
why?
not a carnivore, but that does sound good right now.
Just because
Let's have a piece of bacon to honor the Muzzies.
I'm just saying I'm going to do it because the smell of it will piss off Muslims.
Okay. Okay.
Plain and simple. Now, folks, we're done with the show, but I did promise you a sing-along fun song to end the show today. It's just something about a rodent and people that take things too seriously. So, folks, have a great rest of your weekend. Diane and I will see you on Wednesday. Diane, say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Well, when I was a kid, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi, visit my granny and her antebellum world. I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees, free as a song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel. Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple holes in the top. When Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was sitting way back in the very last pew, showing him to my good buddy Hugh. When that squirrel got loose, went totally berserk. What happened next is hard to tell. Some thought it was heaven, others thought it was hell. But the fact that something was among us was plain to see. As the choir sang, I surrender all, the squirrel ran up Harv Newland's coveralls, and Harv leaped to his feet and said, something's got a hold on me! Yeah! The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, hallelujah! Well, Harv hit the out dancing and screaming. Some thought he had religion, others thought he had a demon, and Harv thought he had a weed eater loose and he screwed the moons. He fell to his knees to plead and beg, and that squirrel ran out of his breeches leg unobserved to the other side of the room. All the way down to the amen pew where sat Sister Bertha Better Than You, who'd been watching all the commotion with sadistic glee. Should have seen that look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs. She jumped to her feet and said, Lord, have mercy on me. As that squirrel made laps inside her dress, she began to cry and then to confess to sins and make a sailor blush with shame. She told of gossip and church dissension, but the thing that got the most attention was when she talked about her love life. And then she started naming names. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, hallelujah. 7 deacons and the pastor got saved, and $25,000 was raised, and 50 volunteered for missions in the Congo on the spot. And even without an invitation, there were at least 500 rededications, and we all got rebaptized whether we needed it or not. Now you've heard the Bible story, I guess, how he parted the waters for Moses to pass. Oh, the miracles God has wrought in this old world. But the one I'll remember till my dying day is how he put that church back on the narrow way with a half-crazed Mississippi squirrel. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight